Good evening and welcome to the June 9th, 2020 meeting for the Board of Trustees for the school town of Speedway. We're going to start tonight, as we always do, with saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So for the, I guess, third month now, we are meeting partially in person, socially distanced, and partially remotely. I'm physically present here in the boardroom, and the remainder of my colleagues are joining us by Zoom. Therefore, we will be conducting our voting a little differently. I will have to have a roll call where each individual person will acknowledge their yes or no vote. That is so we can comply with the statutes that allow us to have this meeting hybridly like this. So if you're watching, and didn't see this last month, that's what's going on. The first item on our 16-item agenda is to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, which was on May 12th, 2020. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, May 12th, 2020.
And a second?
Laura, I'll second.
Luke, thank you, Luke. All in favor of approving the last month's May 12th, 2020 minutes indicate when I ask you. Sorry about that. Let's go. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So the minutes are approved. And signed by me. Okay, the next item on our agenda is to approve this year's high ability plan. Are we gonna do it?
Yeah, St. Andrea. Miss McIntosh is here, and if you have any questions, you can please. But the recommendation is to approve the high ability plan as submitted. The plan underwent a major revision prior to 17-18 school year, and the only changes are minor and routine, noted on the summary page and the blue ink in the plan. And that is the recommendation. Andrea?
Each spring, we gather a group called a broad-based planning committee comprised of teachers, administrators. We invite some parents / community members to be a part of that to review our annual high ability plan and determine if any changes need to be recommended to you. So you'll see a few of those changes there. Like Dr. Trebley said, most of those are routine. All of them are routine. There are some slight revisions on the identification plan to better mirror the formative assessments that we'll be using in the district next year. Though the primary identification tool we'll continue to use for high ability is an assessment called the COGAT, which is a pretty widely used high ability assessment. So that won't change, but our secondary assessment will now align to the formative assessments that we will be changing to as a district next year. That's all in an effort to not add extra assessments to our students' plates, and also to have assessments that have higher reliability and validity.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
Laura, I'll make a motion to approve the high ability plan as presented.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Bill. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote by roll call. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So the updates to the high ability plan are approved. The next item on our agenda is an update on the ongoing projects that we have. That includes Newbie, the high school air conditioning, and also some work that's being done in the Jordan Auditorium.
Since March 13th, which was the last day that the students were on campus, our projects have moved along quite nicely. First of all, the Newbie Elementary, 5 classrooms, net 4 classrooms and bathroom, chiller, security doors. To put it frank, it's on time and on budget. So we're extremely excited about that. It's on time, it's on budget. 3D Professional is now working to finishing the CMU, which is the concrete block. That's finished actually since I wrote this late last week. The MEP, or the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough ends, the roofing, the boiler room, and the chiller, that's all in process. And we're looking in a couple weeks to finish that up. It's looking pretty good right now. On the south side of Newbie, they're actually putting the outside brick. So please, everyone, remember, it was very difficult to match the brick from the 50s to 2020. And I think they've done a nice job. If you look at all of our buildings, there's a little bit of a difference if you go through. And of course, some people that live in the Newbie area will see that. And when they look at that, it's going to be right next to the old brick, to the new brick. But I think it's looking nice. We're going to be real soon start working on the inside of the classrooms to finish this on time of July 17th. So we're pushing the envelope on that, and we're hopeful that's going to happen. So any questions on the Newbie project? Okay, moving on to the high school gym AC, and this has kind of been a quiet project, but they have the holes into the side of the wall where we're going to punch out to 2 vents that are going to be cloth. They're going to be hanging on the ceiling, and they are telling me right now in July this will be finished. So we thought it was going to be the end of August actually when they could get this done. We're hoping to have this done the end of this month, early July. So things are moving ahead on that and smoothly. And again, it's on budget. So that's two thumbs up on that. The third one is kind of a new one. We had to move forward. On March 13th, we had to close down school, and we had a school play coming up, and it got canceled because everything got canceled. But we found out about a week before that the speakers were they were on their last leg. So we had portable speakers ready to go for our students to perform the play. And obviously we didn't have to use that. But in the meantime, we went ahead and fixed all the speakers inside, or we revamped them. So we have some great sound in Jordan Auditorium for our plays, our musical department, choir, our programs, graduation. I think it was excellent what the work that they did on that. So to my understanding, it is superb now in Jordan Auditorium. So I think a lot of people are going to be happy with that we replace those speakers. So those are the 3 projects, and I'll field any questions or we can move forward. Everything is good.
Any questions?
Kyle, I don't have a question, but do you want Andrea to stay on, or usually we let people leave after they have presented?
That is her choice. Andrea, are you there?
I'm here. There are contracted services are being presented later on the agenda, and I'm happy to stick around if there are questions for that, or I can go either way.
Well, if you have another 10 minutes, we'll probably be done about 10, 15 minutes. So,
Okay.
but if you
Thank
need
you,
to
Mr.
go,
Smith.
spend time. Okay. Thank
No.
you, though. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Hearing no questions on the update on the construction projects, let's move on to the 4th item, which is to approve the publication of the 2019 annual financial report.
And this report is enclosed. It's a routine. This is a summary of the 19 finances. So it's a little different here. We're in 2020, but it shows us what we appropriated. It's kind of a check and balance deal. We have to publish this in the Indy Star by Indiana code. But the recommendation is to approve the publication of the included 19 financial report.
What's the board's pleasure?
Laura, I'll make a motion to approve the publication of the 2019 annual financial report.
Thanks, Debbie. I have a second?
And I will second that. Go ahead, Luke.
I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay, Luke. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, let's call the vote. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So that passes. That is approved 5-0. The 5th item is to approve the agreement for nursing services.
I'll talk about the summary first. In 2017, every 3 years, we have to go back for proposals for groups on a couple services. Two of them are, which we're voting on tonight, is the nursing, and the second one is athletic training. So we'll talk about the first one first, which is the nursing services. For the last many, many years, we've used Shalom Federal Health Care Centers. So those are the nurses that we've worked with for many, many years. As you can see that their proposal came in at $185,805. The second proposal, which we are thankful for both groups, IU Health, came in at $371,756. As you can see, out of the two, one is significantly lower. And my recommendation will be to authorize myself to work with our legal counsel to complete an agreement to purchase school nursing services for the 2020 through 2023 school year from Shalom Federal Health Care Clinic.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
I'll move that we approve the agreement for nursing services.
Have a second?
Laura, second. I'm sorry. I thought Bill was going. I'll second.
Thanks, Debbie. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agreement with Shalom for Shalom Healthcare Center for nursing services as presented. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll take the roll vote. Debbie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and Luke.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So that also passes 5-0. Next is the similar item that we would approve the agreement for sports medicine services.
Same situation. This is our athletic trainer and our doctor. We've used these two people for the last 3 years with Select Physical Therapy. We had two companies that sent back the proposal, their bids, and it was at $32,500 for Select Physical Therapy. Year 3, they do have an increase up to $35,152. The second group, called IU Health, they also put a bid in at $71,560 per year. So again, that's very significant compared to what we had. And for the two groups that are currently serving our students, the trainer and our medical physician, my recommendation is to authorize myself again to enter the agreement with the Select Physical Therapy for the athletic training services.
And what's board's pleasure on this?
I move that we approve the agreement for sports medicine services as presented.
Thanks, Bill. Second?
I'll second, Laura.
Thank you, Debbie. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, we'll take the vote by roll call. Debbie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yeah.
is that yes? Okay,
Yes.
Bill
Yes.
and Luke,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So that agreement is approved. The seventh item is to approve specification for special purpose bus contract.
Although this is a repeat, we are going to, what is enclosed is an updated proposal document that we hope to solicit proposals for bus services. We are a very small group here at Speedway. And what we want to do is make sure that we get this out into the local newspapers to get as many bids as possible. This process is a little different from the nurses and the athletic services. So what's going to happen, we're going to send these out to the Indy Star, making sure that everybody's aware of this. We're going to receive these back on June 19th, which is in about a week or so, next Friday, 2020 at 2 p.m. And I'll bring this to you on their proposals at the next board meeting in July. So the recommendation is to accept the process for soliciting special bus contract in this month of June.
What's board's pleasure on this, please?
Laura, I approve, I make a motion that we approve the specification for the special purpose bus contract.
Okay, thank you. Luke, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call. Debbie? Debbie?
I was muted. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, so the 8th item is to present the budget development calendar for 2021.
And this is our budget 2020 pay for 2021. This is where I'll come back in July and talk about the capital asset plan. We'll talk about the operation, general budget parameters, but this just gives you an outline what's coming up next. So the recommendation is to accept the budget development calendar for 2021.
I don't know if I have that. What's the board's pleasure on this?
Laura, I'll make a motion to approve the budget development calendar for 2021.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Luke. By roll, any discussion? Okay, we'll vote on this by roll call again. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. The 9th item is to approve institutional memberships.
The recommendation is to continue the annual institutional membership in the following. There's a large group here, but they're very beneficial now in these times because you can catch different information in a lot of different groups. So I'll go ahead and read them from start to finish. And then if we can just get a motion to accept all, I think we can move forward on that. But they are included: the Central Indiana Educational Service Center, CIESC, the Consortium of School Networking, Greater Speedway Area Chamber of Commerce, Indiana Association of College Admissions Counseling, Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents, Indiana Association of School Business Officials, Indiana Cooperative Library Service Authority, Indiana National School Boards Associations, Indiana Urban Schools Association, Indiana Association of Small and Rural Schools, South Central Study Council, and the Alliance for the Marion County Children.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
I move that we continue the institutional memberships as presented.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Luke. We'll vote on this by roll. All in favor? I know. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. The 10th item is to approve the contracts for physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and behavioral consultations.
Andrea?
Sure. We got some comparison quotes and provided a chart to you so you could see the rate that we pay our current providers along with what we'd be looking at if we looked at switching providers. The recommendation would be remaining with our current contract providers for these 4 positions. Not only are their rates in most cases significantly less than the comparison, they also have long-standing relationships with our students and families and have all been highly effective employees for us. So you can see there what those different companies would charge for the same service.
Great, thank you. Questions before a motion? If not, do I have a motion, please?
Laura, I'll make a motion to approve the contracts for physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and behavioral therapy, behavioral consultations as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion on this? Okay. Vote by roll call. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. The 11th item on our agenda is to approve the Second Amendment to Food Service Management Agreement.
So 3 years ago, we joined with Airmark, and we're in a 5-year contract with them. Each year, they do a slight increase with inflation and whatnot, as you can see enclosed and with the amendment. This is a slight increase. We've been extremely happy with Airmark. Can I just say for a second, we've served over 35,000 meals in the last couple months, and that's a lot to do with Airmark and our employees in the cafeteria. So right now, they have a special place in my heart. They're feeding a lot of the community, and we know we're not serving steaks and ribs, but we're serving at least food for kids, and that really warms my heart that we're able to do that. So with that, my recommendation is to continue and approve this amendment to number 2, the Second Amendment for the Food Service Management Agreement.
Board's pleasure.
I'll make a motion that we approve amendment number 2 to the food service management agreement.
Thanks, Luke. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Tom. Any discussion on this? I will second, and I'm sure from my colleagues' perspective, it was just astounding to see, the weekly reports and how many meals were being served. I think we changed gears as to how we were doing that a little bit, and we all read the situation, made some changes. It seemed to go just remarkably well, and I've really heard nothing but just high praises. So great job, and pass that on to the folks at Airmark.
Our cafeteria workers have done a great job. Great job.
And and it looks like there's going to be some challenging things they're going to have to be dealing with as the school year starts. So we're excited to have great people in place. So if there's no other discussion, we'll vote by roll call. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. We are delaying action on what was the 12th item on the agenda until July. So we're going to move to number 13, and that is acknowledgement of grants received to the tune of $277,188.97, which is amazing, which is great. We have those wonderful cell tower. Okay, then number 14 is the personnel report.
There's one item on the personnel report this month, and that is a recommendation to hire Rachel L. Nesbitt as the instructional coach. She will be working as an instructional coach at Allison Elementary beginning this fall. So I would recommend that we hire Rachel for this position.
Board's pleasure on this.
I'll move that we accept the personnel report as presented.
Have a second?
Laura, I'll second.
Thank you, Debbie, Tom and Debbie. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call. Debbie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. No visitors, obviously. Do we have other business?
I would like to, I think at this time, go ahead and make a statement about where the Schooltown Speedway schools are, talk about where we've been, where we're at, where we're going. There's been a lot of questions, and folks, you're not alone. We're there too. Today, we had a 10 o'clock Zoom meeting with Dr. McCormick with the Department of Education. She's the state superintendent. We received on Friday, surprise, a 38-page recommendation on how to open schools. And that caught a lot of people off guard. The 38 pages include a lot of words like they suggest, they recommend, but nothing's mandated. We're still in a weird, or we're in the unknown territory right now. Let's be very, very clear. As much as you read the media, the social media, there still is not directives that were mandated to follow as a school corporation. So instead of rolling out a lot of plans that we just don't know yet, we believe that it's best if we hold on, that we get all the information that we can at the time, and also be prepared that it could change at any minute after we get that information. So this is where we're at right now. The school corporation understands where we were on March 12th, and we understand where we're going to be on August 4th. August 4th is going to look a lot different, but we're hoping to open full force on August 4th for all students, following recommendations of the CDC, the Department of Education, and most importantly, the Marion County Health Department. Marion County Health Department, since we're in Marion County, will be the voice that we listen to, that we will have to follow. That meeting is not this week, not next week, but the week after on the 19th. So it's next Friday. It is next Friday. We have a scheduled meeting. We're trying, as the Marion County superintendents, to push that forward a little bit to get that further guidance so we can push it out. We're hoping before July 6th. Perfect world, it will be the week of July 4th. We can roll out some pretty detailed plans on how we're going to open and what that looks like. So if you're a parent, I'm asking a little more patience. We have plans A through double Z. We have them all. And this school corporation is ready to roll with whatever's thrown at us, we'll be able to tackle. So let me tell you some things that we've been working on since then. We did not have a K through 12 learning management system. We do now. We're working on that. We're training our teachers. We're training the administrators. We're training each other on this right now. But we understand we understand that the number one way to teach is face-to-face in a classroom with a great teacher in a small class size. That's what Speedway's about. But we have a learning management system now. We have more devices than we've ever had. We have cases now that these devices can go in. So if they do go home, if for some reason a cat might knock it off the table, hopefully it can survive that. We're working on hotspots. And that's something with the Marion County group that we're working on and the town of Speedway, that can we get to a point where the whole town of Speedway is covered in a hotspot? So I understand the little hotspots are good, but we're looking big scheme here, hopefully down the road. But that's just too early to call on that yet. We also have an online curriculum, and this is extremely important. We, again, believed in class. So online curriculum is something that Speedway schools were not ready for on March 13th. But I know we'll be ready on August 4th. And with that curriculum, we'll have a scope and sequence for all teachers, and with expectations to try to balance that field on what students are getting from Wheeler, Allison, Fisher, Newby. So that's promising. We're also developing protocols. Folks, this list goes on, but I'm going to stop here in a second because we have to. We're going to develop safety protocols for COVID-19. We're also doing policies for masks, possible masks, water, instructional time, minutes, the calendar. When's the Indy 500 going to be raced? We don't know that yet, but we're aware of all this. And the board is going to meet next week in a special session, a work session, and we're going to work together to try to do what's best for our students, our parents, our community, and understand we are Speedway Schools is a special place, and we understand that. And we're going to try to get to that point. But please understand this, until we talk to the health department, will we know exactly what we can do in the weeds or the specifics on that. So I say thank you to the students. We finished up a wonderful year. Our graduation was under 2 hours at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We thank those people again. It was just a wonderful day. I think 71.5 degrees out, sunny day, no rain, no wind. And it was just a phenomenal day. So I could talk all day about positives, and I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of challenges and issues that we have to tackle. And we promised the community, we have promised the sport, we're going to keep working to make the best situation for our students on August 4th.
Any comments from my colleagues? With that, we will adjourn to sign claims.
Brian? Off.